Hi and welcome back to my channel. I actually just got done filming my June TBR, and I realized that I have a lot of like thriller horror books on my TBR, so I was like, I should do more thrill seeker videos since I said I was going to do one like once a month, and I haven't. I've only done 2 episodes ever. If you don't know, Thrill Seeker is a series that I do on this channel, well, used to do, haven't done one in a long time, where I read popular like thriller, horror, suspense, mystery books, and we talk about them at full length. It's like old school booktube, full dedicated reading blog, spoilers, full steam ahead spoilers, and we fully dive into like very specific details about the book. That is what Thrill Seeker is. And on this episode, we will be doing Hide by Kiersten White. I'm very, very excited about this book. I talked about this in my TBR, but I had actually requested this from the library last month, but I was like 12th or something in line, and so I knew there was no way I was going to read it anytime soon. And I saw that the Literally Dead book club was reading this for June, and I was like, oh, that sucks though, because my hold is like really, really late, so there's like no way I'm going to be able to read it. And then by the Book of Gods, it came in like 3 days ago. I don't really know how, because I seriously was like 12th or something in line, so I don't know if like everybody passed on it, or maybe because it's like summer now, people aren't in the mood for that. I think it's the perfect summer book. I think the synopsis makes it seem like the perfect horror like book for summer, so I'm really excited for this. And now I also get to participate in the Literally Dead book club like conversation during the live show. This came out May 24th. I know I've seen it in bookstores and stuff if you are interested in reading it. Like I said though, I am doing full spoilers in this vlog, so if you haven't read it yet, I highly recommend going and reading it and then coming back to watch this vlog and have like a fun little discussion with me. But the synopsis says, the challenge: spend a week hiding in an abandoned amusement park and don't get caught. The prize: enough money to change everything. Even though everyone is desperate to win, to seize their dream futures or escape their haunting past, Mac feels sure that she can beat her competitors. All she has to do is hide, and she's an expert at that. It's the reason she's alive and her family isn't. But as the people around her begin disappearing one by one, Mac realizes this competition is more sinister than even she imagined, and that together might be the only way to survive. 14 competitors, 7 days, everywhere to hide but nowhere to run. Come out, wherever you are. Super creepy. See, to me that's like summer vibes. Amusement park, like that's so like summer slasher type of vibes. I feel like it's either going to be very paranormal and that this like abandoned amusement park is going to be like full-blown haunted, or there's going to be like a serial killer there, or someone going around like killing these competitors or something like that. I don't know. See, it's also tagged as fantasy by 25 people. Fantasy. So it's like, what is going on? I have no idea. But we're about to find out. So, like I said, I am not very far in. Only like the intro and a chapter. The first chapter, the first like little intro was amazing. It like talked about the amusement park, and it was just like giving a little bit of background story about how the park was opened in the 50s and it was really, really popular, and that it was created almost like a maze, so there's no way to get out, and they did that on purpose. And then people would spend all day there and they'd kind of get like hazy, and then the only way that they would get out is they would put like these spotlights in the exit, and everyone would like herd together and follow the spotlights. So kind of creepy already in itself, but like I get it, I guess, if you're trying to like make money and have people like stay there all day. So I don't really know like the true intention with that, but creepy, no way to get out, everything's super confusing, the maps even were like all skewed and stuff. And one day out of every 7 years, which I found really random and odd, but whatever, they would have a day where it's free to like get in and come to the park. And so a lot of like migrant workers and lower class individuals who couldn't afford to do stuff like that would finally get to like come and enjoy the park as well. And that same year there was also this big like, I'm pretty sure he was like a hedge fund guy, and he came with his family to like check it out because he was going to invest in the park, and his daughter ended up going missing, never to be seen again that year. Of course, they ended up blaming it randomly on some migrant worker, and then the park got a really bad rep, and it ended up closing down, never to be opened again. So it's just been sitting there for like 50 years, 50 some years. It also let us know that there is this like house in the middle of the park that nobody like could ever go near, and nobody ever saw anybody go in it or out of it, and it's super creepy and like it's just left alone. And then at the end of the intro, it talks about how like the girl's little shoe was like wrapped around a tree that eventually grew up by the house. So pretty sure she got taken by something or somebody that was in the house or around the house. That's all I really know so far. The intro was super cool, it really set it up really well, and I really liked it. The first chapter or two, I'm not quite sure how far I am like chapter wise, but it kind of just set up like the main character. There's 14 competitors, and so far we've kind of gotten to know like bits about all of them, which is honestly very overwhelming to me. I'm not a huge fan of big cast of character books. By the synopsis, I thought we would definitely see Mac's perspective, and I thought it would be kind of more first person, just because it talks about like her family so much. Mac feels sure she can beat them, but because it's actually third person, we get bits of like everybody. We get bits of everybody's thoughts, we get bits of everybody's past, we get bits of what everyone's thinking and what everyone's doing, and honestly it's just kind of overwhelming right now. I think I'm on the chapter, it's like the second chapter I think actually, that's called like 14 competitors, and it goes through like who everyone is. I'm like halfway through that, but it is a little overwhelming. I hope that we don't actually need to remember these bits of information about every single person, because it's a lot. So we will see, but so far that's about where I am. That's what I know. I'm very excited to like see where it's gonna go, but so far it is a little confusing with like it's a little bit much right now, but you know, it's the beginning, you got to set up the stage, so we will see. But I'm gonna listen to a lot more of it probably right now, and I will check in when I have thoughts and things to say and stuff like that. But I'm very excited for this episode, and yeah. Good morning. I actually read quite a bit of Hyde last night. I listened to quite a bit like right before I went to bed. So now this morning I obviously have updates. I'm not loving it, and kind of for the same reasons that I brought up yesterday. A bit of a recap, we find out that like Mac, our main character, I don't think I mentioned this yesterday, even though it is brought up in like the very first chapter. Sorry if you can hear that. We find out that Mac, the reason that the synopsis says like, oh, Mac's really good at hiding, it's the reason why her family's dead and she's not, is because her father went kind of crazy and killed their entire family. He like set it up like a game of hide and seek, and then he killed his in-laws, his wife, and Mac's older sister, but Mac hid so well that he couldn't find her before the police came, and he like killed himself right when the sirens came or something like that. It was pretty renowned. There was this one competitor who was saying that his girlfriend is like really into true crime podcasts, and they did like an entire podcast on it, and so it's like in this world that crime is like very renowned. So everyone like knows who she is now at this point because of that one guy saying like, oh, that's where I've heard your name before, and it's changed some people's opinion of her, which I find really weird because she's literally like a survivor of her dad murdering like her entire family. So like, why would that make you think ill on her? So we get like the setup for where everything's gonna be and how the competition's gonna work, and the company is so sketchy. They get all the competitors like in one place, and then they like don't show up for a really long time, so everyone's there like without food and water and everything, and then they take them to this like creepy spa and are like, oh, we're gonna pamper you first. Perspective makes it very strange. I'm really not a fan of the perspective changes. It's very confusing, especially on audio. I don't know if it would be less confusing reading it physically as well, but I think either way it's pretty confusing, but I definitely think it's more confusing reading it or listening to it on audio. Because sometimes it'll change, like, oh, she did this, she did that, but it won't ever like let you know who is she. It doesn't let you know, and it will have completely switched who it's talking about. So it will be like, oh, you know, Mac does this, she really likes this, I don't know, weird ass example, and then it'll be like, she decides to go walking, but it'll be talking about somebody else for the walking, but it'll be like the next sentence. So you have no idea who it's talking about until it gives like these like designated clues, or someone else says their name or something. It's so confusing the way that it's written. I don't know if it's supposed to like mimic the kind of maze that the amusement park is, but it's working, I can tell you that much. Mac is creating this bond with this woman named Ava, and she doesn't like that she's creating this bond with her, but they kind of have similar personalities, and they kind of are like trying to look out for each other, even though they both agree like every man for themselves. So that's an interesting like dynamic. That's an interesting relationship. There was a part that really bothered me where they are speculating. This really bothered me actually. There's this part where they're speculating about this guy's like sexuality, and they're like, oh, like he's got to be interested in women, and then this other girl is like, no, like I think he's gay, and then like the other Ava is like, I don't think he's gay, and they're like speculating on it. But then a guy comes up to Ava, and he said something about like questioning her gender or something like that, and she like threw this huge wild like, I don't want to say tantrum, but she got like really upset, and she was like, no one owes you like an explanation on their gender, like all this stuff, which like I totally get it, and I'm totally behind, but then why 5 seconds ago were you like literally within earshot talking about this guy's sexuality? Like, I think he's gay. No, I don't think he's gay. Like, he doesn't owe you his sexuality either. So it was just kind of strange, and I was like, I felt like the book was trying to prove a point, like, yeah, like fuck the patriarchy, and like I get it because I'm totally for it, but at the same time you can't have 5 seconds before this thing where you're like, I think he's gay. Like, that's so, you can't. It was just off-putting to me because I was like, wait, didn't you just like, you were just doing that to this dude though? Like, it's just strange. Pretty much the competition started. I am past that point. The competition has started. Day 1, not a lot really is going on. Mac is hiding, and she hears like these like weird footsteps and like heavy breathing, and she says it's almost like animalistic or something. So that's interesting. That's just interesting to me. I wonder if that's kind of like the paranormal elements that people were talking about. I think that 2 people get taken out the first day, and what's weird is when they get back to their little like cots the first day, because they only are hiding during the day and then they're sleeping. They get to like sleep up in the cots at night. Or is it opposite? No, that's right. Yeah, they sleep at night. They hide during the day. Oh my god, that would be so creepy, hiding at night. That kind of would have been cool though. Anyways. So after the first day when they get back, the lady who's in charge, like the lady of the company, the one who like put it on or whatever, she was like, oh yeah, 2 people were found, and like that's the max people that can get found per day. And everyone's kind of like, you didn't tell us that only 2 people can get found per day, and if 2 people got found, why did we have to keep hiding the whole day? Also, before they go out on the first day, the lady, I don't remember her name, she is like, oh, by the way, if anyone finds this like special book, like this, I think it's like a brown book or something, she's like, that's special, you get like an extra prize or extra bonus or something like that if you come bring it to me. But she won't give any more details, she won't explain anything about it, nothing. So I am very interested to see what that is all about as well, because she mentions it like at the very end, like right before they're about to go hide for the first time. So there's like a lot going on there, but at the same time like kind of not a lot going on, because they're really just hiding like almost the whole chapter. So there's not a lot, but it's just very, I don't even know, it's just interesting, I guess. So day 2, Mac, our main character, even though not really, but like sure, and Ava end up hiding together. They hear the like animalistic noise again. They hear that like animal growl, breathing type thing, but where they're hiding they can't see anything. But this time Ava hears it too, so Mac knows she's not like tripping. 2 more people get out, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not really remembering like the situation with it. I think I started to fall asleep during the end of that chapter, so I'll probably re-listen to like the last couple minutes of like day 2, because I remember them hiding, I remember them doing all that, but I don't remember like when they get back to the cots, everything that happens. I'm not 100% enjoying it. I'm not like in love with the writing style. It's not giving me the super creepy vibes that I really would want from it, but I think I'm going to listen to it while I like pick up the house today, and then I need to edit a little bit, so I won't be able to listen to it during that, but then I really want to like read a lot of it today. It's not what I imagined. Also, another huge issue I'm having with it is that this is supposed to be adult, right? It's supposed to be adult, 18 plus, baby. I'm not getting any of those vibes. This reads super YA, super YA. I just finished Our Crooked Hearts by Melissa Albert, which is a YA, like a witchy book, and that is YA for sure, and that reads more adult than this is to me, and that is like really YA. This one, the characters, the way that they're like talking, some of the characters are even like in their late 20s, I'm pretty sure, and they speak like teenagers. It's very odd. But I don't know. I thought that this was supposed to be adult. It's marked as adult. I think it's marketed as adult at my Barnes & Noble. I just saw it and it was in the adult section, so I'm pretty sure it's adult, but it's not reading like it, and that's definitely throwing me off, because it reads like YA right now. There's nothing super gruesome or nothing that would make it adult. The characters don't act adult. The writing style isn't like adulty. Nothing is explicit. Like so far it's not giving anything that's adult. So that is kind of bothering me, because I feel like this book has so much potential to be something really intense and really creepy and really like kind of fucked up, honestly, especially with like Mac's background. But it's just not giving that right now. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, so I'm gonna reread, like while I clean up and stuff, I'm probably gonna reread like most of day 2 again, just because I do feel a little blurry on everything that happened in day 2. But I'll probably read like most of that over again, and then I will check in if I have any thoughts or anything. So I just finished picking up the house and reading the rest of day 3. I actually went back and I pretty much listened to like half of what I had read all over again. So I listened to the end of day 2 and day 3 over again. So the end of day 2, we find out that 2 women ended up being eliminated, and one of the guys who's still in the competition actually got one of them eliminated by like throwing something and like bringing attention to where they were hiding, because he saw her like go into her hiding spot. Day 3, Mac and Ava hide together again, and this time there's a different character, Rebecca, who finds like pieces from one of the girls that was eliminated on day 2. Rebecca finds pieces of one of the girls' like clothing items and stuff like that, and they're all like torn up, and like there's some blood on a necklace and stuff. So she like runs out and she's like, I don't care if I'm eliminated, I don't care, like something's seriously wrong, like something happened to her, so like we need to figure this out. And nobody, like none of the like people in charge like come out and like help her, but instead it like switches back to being like Mac's POV kind of, and all they hear is her like screaming, like a blood curling. What is that phrase? Regardless, she's like screaming like she's getting murdered, and Mac said she like knows the difference, because obviously she's like heard people getting murdered. Poor girl. One of the guys did say that he was going to go find like the house or something, and then it does say like he found the house and like the house found him or something like that. So then like I don't think we hear from him again. We haven't heard from him again yet, so I think he's out as well actually, but I don't know if he counts as one of the people who's out. I'm not quite sure. Then it switches and we actually, for like the first time, get to see the perspective of the woman who has been like kind of running this whole thing. She like goes into town to meet with her family, and we find out she's kind of like the black sheep of her family. Like, they don't really seem to like respect her or like her or anything, but I guess like her family is the lineage who like created the park. And clearly there's actually no real competition and no like sports company that's throwing this competition, because she even said like, oh, I don't like calling them like competitors because they're not. Like, all this, it was so sketchy. So I don't know, I'm excited to dive a little bit deeper into that and learn like what the background is. Like, we clearly knew as a reader from the jump that like it was sketchy and none of it was like really how it was gonna be, but I'm excited to dive deeper. I am back and I am here to tell you that honestly I'm like halfway now. Let me see. I'm literally at 51%. I'm halfway. I'm on day 5 now. Well, I haven't started day 5. It's just where I'm at. In day 4, this kid named Ian, the one who is like writing but not writing, which I never really touched on still, he ends up going into a ride to hide, and he finds that book that lady was talking about. In that book, he decides to read it, and there's some journal entries from like the 1920s, like 1925, I want to say, that talk about they're from the perspective of this man, and he talks about how his brother Thomas and 14 other people, well, 13 other people, including Thomas, from the town. This is after the war, so they decide to do this sacrifice or something in the woods. They decide to do this sacrifice so that nothing like bad happens. It said pretty much like to protect our children and to do all of this, but the guy's POV that like we're reading the journals from, he's like not about it. He like thinks it's super bad. He doesn't want to like mess with it, but he said that he would like keep watch and whatnot. So his brother and these 13 other people go in to the woods and they do this sacrifice. I don't think they're ever seen again, actually, those 14 people. But the guy whose journal entries we get obviously his perspective, it's his journal, and he talks about like going into the woods after the 7 days. They were doing like a 7-day thing and sacrifice or something, and he goes back into the woods and there's like a monster there that they created. We don't have like a lot of visual, like there's no descriptions about the monster yet at any point. There's no descriptions, but it talks about the same like heavy breathing that Mac talks about and everybody else, all the contestants talk about in present day. So I'm assuming it's like a monster, and that's where the supernatural elements come in. So because of whatever sacrifice they did, whatever like kind of like devilish worship type thing they did, it created this monster. Every 7 years or something like that, they have to continue to sacrifice people to this monster, and it has to be people who are in the bloodline of the original 14 people. So it can't be just some random person. Like he said that they tried to give this monster like a maid or something, and it like didn't even touch her. It like not like it didn't even kill her. It was just like not trying to have that. So they have to be descendants. This makes sense about this whole little game thing in present day, because a lot of their last names are the same as other like relevant parts of the story. Like the person who's making the app for like this competition or whatever has the same last name as one of the people in the competition, and one of the kids had the same name as the chef or the bus driver that took them into the competition, and another person has the same last name as, there was one other one. A lot of them have the same last name. The book tells us a lot. The book, like those journal entries, kind of explained, I feel like personally, what's like going on in general. So we pretty much just find out that those like big pieces of information. And I think that's what's going on. I think they're sacrificing, they like found a lineage of those 14 people or whatever in these people, and they're like sacrificing them to the monster, but they're posing it as like this game or something. And then my assumption is that the monster who we hear like breathing all the time and stuff, is going around killing them. I'd like a little bit more backstory. I'm hoping at some point there's going to be a little bit more backstory on like how exactly that happened. Like, how did they do this sacrifice and then this monster came to be? That's not really making sense to me. Like, typically when you do a sacrifice, you don't like, there wouldn't be this monster that comes out of it. I don't know. But they said they have to keep doing it to like protect the town and their money and all this stuff. So I'm like, what is this monster doing for the town? Because in the beginning of the book, Max said that the town is like worn down. There's barely anybody there. She said she didn't even barely see anybody. So it's like, what are you really trying to protect? Because there's like barely anything even there. So I don't know. My assumption is just their money at this point. It's very, very slow to me. The pace, it is very YA. I even looked up just to make sure that it was adult, and it is. It even says on the dust jacket like that it's her adult debut. But I'm kind of needing more from it. I'm needing more gore. I'm needing more grit. I wish it was darker and even like grittier. It's really slow. So this next half is definitely going to be super make or break for me. Because I need it to give a lot more than it's giving. I need it to like put in work right now and like do a lot. And I just honestly don't have super high expectations, but maybe that'll help because I don't have super high expectations. I don't know. But yeah, that's what happened. I'm officially at the halfway point. We got a ton of info, but I feel like it kind of just gave away everything that's happening. I don't have a ton of questions left at this point. So I'm hoping there's a big twist or turn that kind of throws me for like a huge loop, because I do feel like the journal entries explained everything. And so I'm kind of wondering like what else is going to be revealed or what else is going to be like put out there that could really make me super shocked and give this that like horror thriller element that I don't feel like it really has right now. Okay, hi, it's the next day. I was gonna check in after I got done reading day 5, but day 5 is like 2 hours long, which I didn't really realize, so I'm checking in now. Day 5, they have decided to all kind of stick together. They think they've kind of figured out what's happening. They all know that people are dying and no one is really like coming. It's like there's no game, pretty much. They've all realized like there's no game. People are dying. This is super sketchy, like all this. Decided to all stick together except for 2 people. One of the Avas, and because there's 2, I don't know if I've even talked about all these characters. One of the Avas, and I think his name's Jaden or something, and he's the one who has like purposely gotten people out. I think I mentioned that like someone had purposely like thrown something. That was this dude. So he hates all these people, these other people, he calls them freaks and stuff. He's like, seems like a total fucking dick. And they have gone off together, but everyone else is sticking together, and they're going through the park right now, like even before the time they're supposed to, because they're trying to like hide and like figure out what exactly is even going on. Ava, the other Ava, not the other Ava, there's the pretty Ava, they call her, which is weird to me. She is with Jaden, but then the original Ava, I guess, and Mac, our main character, if you want to call her that, really. They have a little romance going on, a little women loves women romance, baby. Then what happened was that Jaden, the little asshole guy, decided to run away from pretty Ava and leave her all alone. So she was walking around, and then she like was running away from this like monster, paranormal. We don't know what it exactly is yet, still to this day. Day 5, we don't know what we're working with. Sorry, for the life of me, I could not multitask for some reason in that moment. But, yeah, so that like asshole leaves Ava, and then she walks past the other people, and the main Ava, the one who's like has a thing with Mac now, like runs out to go see her, or to go save her, sorry, because she's like clearly in distress and like running away from whatever it is that's killing them. And Ava's like head, pretty Ava's head, like it's chopped off and she's like freaking out and stuff. Well, everybody else is freaking out. She's not freaking out, her head is chopped off, but everyone else is freaking out and stuff. And this is so confusing because there's two Avas, so it's so hard to explain. And I'm waiting for there to be a reason why they're both named Ava, because otherwise that's just like annoying in my opinion, but whatever. Yeah, so her head gets chopped off. She's done skis, obviously. But the main Ava, she like can't see what's going on. She like can't see the monster. She can't see like what's killing pretty Ava. She can't see it. So it ends up like taking her to or whatever. And Mac and who was left? Camera died, but we are back. I think there's like 3 people that are with Mac. It's like Legrand, Mac, and Brandon. They all like watch all this happen and stuff, or they hear it all happen. I don't think they see it, but they hear it all happen. It's obviously like super shitty, and Mac is feeling really bad because she like had this connection with someone and it's like the only person that she has felt seen by in a really long time, well, if ever. Now like they're going to find this Jaden kid because they're like, he's killed even unknowingly though. Like Mac even admits like, yeah, he's gotten them out of the game, but she's like, I don't think that he realized that people were dying at this point though. Like he thought he was just getting them out of the game so that he could win the money, but they're realizing that there's no money, there's not going to be a winner, there's like, it's all made up. They go to find him, so sad, and Brandon, I want to say, goes up and like up on the Ferris wheel where they found Jaden, and he like takes him and he shoves him off, and then he jumps and he's saying like that they'll be the 2 sacrifices for the next day, like their bodies will be the sacrifices for the next day, so that gives Mac and Legrand time to figure out what to do. So ultimately they have like 42 hours to figure out what to do. Mind you, at this point they still don't know that it's like a monster thing. We do because of the diary entries. They don't, right? So they're still like, what the fuck even is this? So they go and whatever, and they see it, and so we see it for the first time. And it's like a Minotaur situation, which is so like nothing I was expecting. I honestly went into this kind of thinking it was going to be like a slasher or a haunted ghost thing. Those are my two assumptions. Don't know how I feel about it yet. I definitely need to like finish it and process and see my thoughts. See how I feel about if there's more like explanation as to why it's like a Minotaur thing. So I am kind of confused about that. But yeah, it's like has horns and all that shit. So they see it. This bids you the question, why was the main Ava unable to see it? That's my question. That's where I stopped, because I was like, oh my god, this chapter is so long. So I looked and I still have like 30-40 minutes left of this chapter. So I was like, I need to check in before I forget like how I'm feeling and what's going on. I am getting it now because like the whole like everyone kept talking about how the amusement park was like a maze and you couldn't find your way out and stuff. That makes sense now that it's a Minotaur. Because the Minotaur and the labyrinth, like the folklore, is it folklore? The myth with like the labyrinth and the Minotaur. So that makes sense. And like that's cool. It's original. I see you, Kiersten. I see you. But as far as the story goes itself, it's just not what I was expecting. So now there's only 2 of them left. We got a little POV again, literally like a couple minutes from the lady from before whose family is like doing this all. And she even admitted like, yeah, we only do this every like 7 years or whatever, which is exactly what we learned from the journals. So that kind of checked off like everything that we had already assumed from the journals. And I'm kind of confused because I posted on because I was like, if I'm reading this, I might as well just also participate in like the whole like literally dead book club discussions about it, because I was like, I'm reading it anyways. So 2 birds, 1 stone. And so I participated in the discussion on Goodreads that was days like the beginning of the book to day 4, and then there's a second discussion that's like day 5 to the end. And I was reading what everyone was saying, and it seems like most people are enjoying this, but what's also confusing to me is that a lot of people, not that anyone's wrong or right, like there's no wrong or right, it's literally opinions, like I'm not saying that. most people are seeming to enjoy it, but what has me confused, everyone, is that in the discussions, people are like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this, but I have a lot of questions, like blah, 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 and I'm kind of confused because those questions were all answered by the journal entries. So I'm like, if I didn't pick up on that, and I thought, like, that those questions weren't answered, I would probably still be intrigued. But since I listened to the journal entries like 2 or 3 times, because I told y'all I like couldn't get into it, so I've listened to a lot of parts of this book like multiple times. So I think maybe because I listened to it like so many times, I like picked up on like everything that it was saying because I didn't really have a choice. And so all those questions were answered to me. I feel like by the first half, all of the questions that people were saying in like the discussion on Goodreads, we already know. And then now this part just confirmed it. So I'm like, we already knew that because of the journal entries. So I don't know. Maybe I read too much into it and then it ended up being right, or I don't know. But I was really confused by that because on the discussions, it was really hard for me to not be like, we already know the answer to that though. I swear I'm not being pretentious. I was just confused because I'm like, are we reading the same book? And I get why people would still be intrigued and being like, oh, I'm excited to see what happens next, if they thought all those questions were still needing to be answered. But I feel like a lot of shit's already answered. I only have a couple questions left, so now I'm kind of like, eh. So that's where I'm at now. I stopped once we got to the Minotaur thing because I was like, whew, I gotta update. Because it's not what I was expecting. Like I said, paranormal or slasher. That's what I went into it thinking. I need to process. I'm gonna finish day 5, and then we'll see how I go while I make dinner. I don't know about this one, y'all. I do not know about this one. Which sucks because I don't know if I have yet to enjoy a Thrill Seeker episode book. So y'all gotta really start giving me some good recommendations because I feel like they flop every time. Okay, so it is the next day and I am just going to hunker down and finish Hide. I have an hour and a half left of the audiobook. And I didn't listen to it at all yesterday because I just wasn't like feeling it. And I am really in the mood for like other things. I'm in the mood to like be done with this because I know it's probably going to be a 1 or 2 star read for me. So I kind of just want to finish it. And I've heard that the ending is really bad and makes it even worse. And that nobody has really liked the ending so far, so I'm really nervous. I seriously have yet to see a vlog or like read a comment or see anything on Bookstagram where people say they really enjoy the ending. So I'm like, if I'm already feeling bad about it, yikes. I was trying to remember like where exactly I'm at, and I'm at the part where they like escape and Ava and LeGrand escape and go to the house, and she finds the book with like, I'm assuming, I think it's her grandma, I think, who is explaining what she did when it was her turn to do the park thing. I don't know where I last, I'll be honest, my memory is like so bad. So I don't really remember where I last left off in regards to this video, but they escaped the park, they found a house, and Mac found a book, and I'm 90% sure it's going to be about her grandma. So I think maybe we'll get some answers about her dad maybe or something. We'll see how it ends, I guess, with this Labyrinth Minotaur dude. Fuck. What the fuck was that? That was not good. And that ending, like that seriously didn't even make sense. Like it was just so rushed and abrupt, and it didn't make sense. Like, so they just like ended up like going back into the park ultimately, and then like blowing up like part of the park and part of the like fence, and so then the monster could escape. And then it just literally like the end. Thank you for listening. Like, to what? I just feel like it didn't make sense. And we never got any backstory too. Like, yeah, they did the sacrifice thing so that this monster would be there, but like, where did the monster even come from? How did the monster come to be? Why is it a monster? Why is it a minotaur? Like, what the fuck is even happening? But I feel like there were so many plot holes, and I feel like it was written so YA. This is 100% in my opinion a YA book. 100%. a YA book. There's nothing about this to me that is adult. I would not categorize this as horror at all. I honestly would barely even categorize this as thriller. It wasn't, I don't know what I would categorize it as, but it was not giving those genres whatsoever. I really don't know what to rate this. I would say I'm thinking like a 1 or 2. I'm thinking like a 1. Oh, that's sad. That feels harsh. That feels harsh. But when I think back on like, oh, did I enjoy it? It's like, no. And it took, like, for how short it is, it took me so long to get through because I kept being confused by like what's going on. And so I listened to so many parts multiple times, which a good engaging book you should not have to do. But it was like losing me. I was like, wait, what the fuck is even happening? So I kept having to go back to like re-listen to things just to make sure I was like grasping the story right. Anyways, I hope that you all enjoyed this video and whatnot. I had a really boring week, like a weird week mentally, and just like kind of a boring week. So I feel like there's almost no b-roll. Like almost no b-roll, which is fine. This is definitely like a reading vlog. But yeah, it seems like kind of a boring video, but whatevs. Yeah, that's all. So I will, I guess, see you in the next video. If you like this video, be sure to like it because it really does support my channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. And I will see you in the next video.